we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive.
All right, welcome to episode 140 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. Yes, man, it is actually episode 140 this time, as opposed to last time when I can't count. What do you want from me? You know this. Everyone knows this. Coffee can't count. It's not a way to run a railroad, but it is what it is. I have what I have. So good amount of stuff to talk about today. There's I don't know, man, there's a lot of wackiness. There's always a lot of wackiness. I want to go further down the rabbit hole. I mean, I need to do this on my own time and get a little more lay of the land on the Venezuela situation. Everything I'm hearing about that place, about that situation, I mean, half of it, I don't know, it's like there's three halves. Like half of it is that this country, this economy needs a war to stay upright. Without a war, and nobody else is playing ball. Russia doesn't want to play ball. Iran didn't really play ball. Israel just dragged you into whatever. But, you know, nobody else is into it. Like, I'm not doing that, dude. You go fight yourself. Go fight each other. And they tried that, too. Is there a way we can get a civil war going here? Like, not really. No, I don't want that. Not interested. So now we're looking at Venezuela. And as I'm understanding it, the Gerald Ford strike group with carrier and support ships is either almost there or on station there and standing by to break nuts, as they say. But I guess there's a lot of friction between Venezuela and their neighboring countries. I guess they got Colombia and Ecuador. I guess there's some static with Ecuador, but then I guess Ecuador is a pretty unstable place anyways. I thought they had a kind of a mutual protection thing going with Colombia, but again, I don't know what the deal is on that. And, you know, those people could change their mind like the wind blows if it's like, you know, if America is like, hey, we'll protect you if you just let them twist. And like, oh, you know, I was thinking about it. I don't really support you so much after all. But, you know, again, I need to get to the bottom of that a little bit more, get a better take. I mean, I do know that that woman that they gave the Peace Prize to in Colombia is, and I can't remember her name, Maria something. Does it matter? Does it really matter? Maria, it's something Machado. Maria Consuelo, whatever, Machado, is a big-time Israel supporter, if you can imagine that. So there's that going for you, which is nice. So I also wanted to talk about some of the goings-on, some of the Trumpisms, some of the jackassery that's gone on in this country. But first, I want to give a little administrative update on the direction I would like to take this product. So for the cats that have been listening to the Abuse Hour since its inception, and it's over 3 years now. It's bizarre, super bizarre. It's been over 3 years of cut rate, lower tier content. And when I very first started this was when I had a respectable Instagram following, man. I was at approaching 4,000 or 5,000, something like this. And then just bang, got the axe. Goodbye, see you later, like the big shutting, as they say. And the shutting hit, and I got the axe. But before that happened, I was popping off on there, and I had made some post. I made a post about some woman that I saw on the tram at the Dallas airport. And if you've been to Dallas, you know this deal, man. The tram at that airport is like, there's some airports where you can be on the little underground walkway thing. I think Atlanta, like you can be on the underground walkway thing. And if you got all day, man, like you can just go stand on the little people mover deal, you know, and just the little moving walkway, and you could just walk to the next terminal. It's not a big deal. Dallas is not like that. Like, you got to take that tram situation. You got to take the train. Otherwise, you're not getting there. So everybody's on this thing, unless you're lucky enough you get, off one plane and then your connection's right there in that terminal, which doesn't seem to happen that much. Not to me anyway. But I'm on this train and I see this woman. I see this flight attendant. And I just, how sometimes, man, you just see somebody and you're like, you just saw more of them for some reason than you wanted to see. And it was like that, man. And I saw this woman and it was like I could see her whole life. Just how it played out, I don't know. But she was probably, well past her sell-by, man. Probably 40 plus. She had this, she had the flight attendant get up on, the space waitress get up. And it was clearly one that she had gotten a little while ago, and it fit a little tighter than could have possibly been comfortable. Like, there's no way that you're not uncomfortable in that. There's no way you're breathing easy in what you got on. But she's wearing it anyways, man, and she's got the comfortable shoes and the kind of blown out stockings and the snug, got it several years ago, space waitress outfit. And her hair's done, her hair's done, but not done the way someone would do it if they actually much cared. Her makeup's done, but more kind of drawn on in that got up late this morning. I just need to get this done and get out the door. Like, let's go. Let's just get another day over with. And here you are at work. And she's looking at her phone. And it's like I could just feel it, man. Like, you got into this gig. And, like, she was probably pretty cute once. And you got into this gig. You got into this flight attendant gig. And you're going to see the world. And you're going to meet charming, successful men on their way to conduct business of some sort. And one day things are just going to click. Things are going to go your way. You're going to do this job for as long as it's fun. And when the time is right, you'll step out of this and straight into life as the wife of some successful someone or other. And she probably on these trips, like I'm imagining her meeting a lot of people, probably a lot of late nights, probably a lot of high hopes, and probably a lot of times when that phone just didn't ring the next day. And she's sitting there on that train and looking at that thing and just looking at that phone, and I can just feel it coming off of her like, why won't this thing ring? Why won't that guy, whoever it is, any of the 10 or 20 of them, why won't any of them hit me up, man? Because it was 10, 15 years ago. And that time has come and gone, and this is what you got left. You got a ride at the Dallas airport to the next whatever the hell it is stop, and one more trip to wherever the hell, and one more night by yourself, and one more nail in the coffin. And it was hectic. It was hectic. But I wrote a little thing about it on this Instagram, my very first, Instagram account, where I really had the liberty to just be coffee.long. That was it. And I could be me, whatever. But I wrote a little blurb about it, and some dude that was following it was like, you got kind of a way with words, man. You should do like a podcast. And I was like, really? You think I should do a podcast? Anybody think I should do a podcast? And the people were like, yeah, a couple people were like, you should do that. Try it out, dude. And I didn't know nothing. Like, I still don't. I can't say I know a lot. So eventually I get it figured out how to stand up a podcast and get it spit out to all the various outlets and what have you. And man, I will tell you, if I had to do it again, because I got canceled off of one platform and I had to restart it, and it was so incredibly difficult. Like probably the most difficult piece of this thing was trying to get an image that's the correct size to put on iTunes. So you try to stand something up on iTunes and it's like, yeah, dude, insert image for your little avatar or whatever. And you try to do this and it'll be like, no, it's the wrong size. It's the wrong size. So you're having to resize and reshape and resquare and redo all this stuff. And it's like, no, that's too big. No, too small. That's not right either. Like, oh, come on, man. So it takes forever. I finally get it situated. I get this thing pumped out. And now, so like I'm beating around the bush with this, but I get this thing up and running, and my initial thoughts was like, I'm just doing it for kicks. I'll put it on, I'll rant and rave a little bit, but then I'm doing it, and, like in white man style, I'm like, if I'm going to waste an hour of my time, I'm going to waste an hour of your time, I could at least put out a half-decent product, right? So I start trying to put out like a little bit better product. I start trying to, organize it a little bit and edit it a little tighter, because I did a few of them I just put out like it was not good audio, like the inside of your pocket type audio, not good subject matter, just me walking around an empty airport. Not, it's just a time kill, I'm just like, I'm in your ear while you're working or whatever, which if that's all you want, terrific. But, again, I'd like to put out something decent. So I'm working on improving this thing. I get some better audio. And then I start looking at like, all right, people even listening to this, and a little while it's like, yeah, people listening, whatever. And when you put out the thing on the distribution platform, like it'll say, hey, do you want us to push this to YouTube as well? And there are little hoops you got to jump through to make sure it'll go to YouTube and this kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, just go ahead and push it to YouTube. And so now when I go and look finally, and I'm like, what is it even doing on YouTube? Because I really thought like anything that any of us put on YouTube is just going to go away in a second. Like, yeah, no, we don't allow your kind in here. It's just going to be gone. So I'm like, yeah, just put it there, whatever. It'll be there for a week, 2 weeks. They'll say, no, we don't like your kind. Get out of here. But I put it on there, and nothing like that ever happens. So I wait, and I go and look. And when I look, it's like, is anybody even watching this? Does this get anything? And no, nobody does, dude. Like nobody, there's nothing going on YouTube. And I'm like, dude, I know it ain't top shelf content, but I mean, I'm looking at like zeros. Like I got episodes on there with like somebody didn't even click on it. On the millions of people that are on YouTube just clicking through stuff or playing stuff or letting stuff go on auto. Like nobody's even clicking on this. Like this isn't popping up at all anywhere. So I'm like, all right, well, this isn't going to make the cut right here. So let me see what else I can do. So I get on here and I'm looking at like, dude, YouTube, what's the story? How do you do this? And, because if I've got the content already, right? I've got me running my mouth. How hard could it be to like, what little adjustment do I got to make where somebody's like, yeah, I'll listen to that. What's this about? So I'm looking at that. Okay, I could do this. So I'm looking at this and I'm thinking maybe I had to put some kind of visual in place too. Like instead of just like a blank screen or just the Abuse Hour logo, then maybe a little something else in the background. I get something going. Put a little description, a catchy title, something. I get something going. So that's when I started looking at the iMovie thing, and I put out that little iMovie. And dude, like I ain't Mr. Talented with no video editing. But put a little something out. And I'm like, all right, I could see working with this. And then I had this idea that it's something I had seen a little while ago. And if you're into jiu-jitsu at all, you know this brand Shoyo Roll, right? And it's like these overpriced gis. They're very nice. They're very cool. They're very sturdy. Like all the hep cats wear them. But it's like a whole brand thing, man. Like very cool stuff. Overpriced. It's the shit, But on their social media side, they'll have this thing where they've got like a toll-free number and you call and you're like, you tell some little story, like whatever you got to say, man. Like I'm a white belt, I showed up and I finally tapped a blue belt. Or I just got my blue belt and I'm about to start eating dudes alive. Or I heard one where a guy was like, yeah, quit telling me to not cross my legs when I'm on the back. That's for people who suck. I don't suck. I can cross my feet if I want. You ain't going to catch me. And I'm like, oh, okay. But they do this thing where they'll, you call in and you leave a message and they'll take that thing and then they'll edit it into a little video. Like they'll have a little video, some crazy stuff playing in the back. And I'm like, dude, that would be the heat. If I had like, you cats, if you want to call in, that's fine too. But if I could get leftoids to call in and leave some kind of like, Coffee, I hate you. I hate this show. I hate everything about you. You're the worst person ever. I think that would be hilarious. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that, man. So I looked into standing up a toll-free number. I got a toll-free number stood up. You're going to love this. The number is 833-BASED14. Based 14. So 833-227-3314. That number again, 833-227-3314. 833-BASED14. You could call, leave a tip, leave a take, leave whatever you want. But trying to set this thing up, dude, I was jumping backwards through hoops of fire trying to get this to function properly. It's like what do you, and it's talking about like, what do you want the caller's experience to be? I just want you to call and leave a message, dude. That's all I want. But it's not set up, for like idiots like me. That's like, I just want people to leave a message. It's actually, services for people that want to be able to do things for their customers. So I'm like, dude, just have it where you call. Fine, press 1 to leave a message because that's your only option. Press 1 to leave a message. It'll send you to the message. Wait for the beep, and then off you go. Leave a message. Say whatever. So I want to cook some of these videos, and then I want it to be like some leftoid's idea that like, I'm going to call and give him a piece of my mind. I think they'll go for it. Even I make little videos out of them looking like kooks. I think they'll go for it just because they'll love to like, I got my name on the radio or something. I got to talk on the radio, and I gave that coffee a piece of my mind. I think that would be the absolute heat. But, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So apart from that, man, I'm going to move forward a little bit with trying to squeeze a little more out of this. Because I was talking to one of the dudes that helps me out in the chat, like helps me out with running some of the stuff, running the Telegram chat, helps me out with some tech advice and this kind of thing. And I'm talking about like, I feel like I could do more with this, dude. I feel like I could get a little bit more done. And if I could sit at the house and like just look at the news and look at what's going on and then yell at people on a podcast, I'd do that all day, man. I'll put out content all day if I was getting paid to do that. But as it is, it's like, no, I got to go do this other crummy job. And then I put out cut rate content. So then it's like, well, yeah, you ain't going to get paid, dude, because your content is lower tier. It's like, yeah, but if I put more time in, it could be better, but I can't put more time in because I'm doing this other thing. So it's like one of those, like, how do I get experience, until I get a job, but how do I get a job without experience? This kind of thing, like I'm 18 over here. Anyways, I'm going to start leaning into this thing a little bit, man. I also have a buy me a coffee situation. Buy coffee a coffee. Link is, I'm going to put wherever I can put it. So if you're listening to this on Spotify, it should be, if you look at the thing, it should be right there someplace. And if you want to kick down $5, if you want to become a paid up member of the Abuse Hour Goon Squad, then you kick down like $5 a month and you're in. You're part of the club, part of the Goon Squad, part of the ship, part of the crew. Let's go. Anyways, that's enough. Enough shilling. I don't like the shilling anyway. I got some stuff I wanted to hit on, man. So one of the first things I want to hit on is the number of kosher takes, the kosher commentary that I am hearing out there, because railing against these tiny hats has become something that has become increasingly acceptable. And I support this, obviously. But these jokers, these clowns, are starting to rail back, and they're genuinely indignant. And some of their bought and paid for employees, their shabos, if you will, these heritage club types, man. These are supposed to be, I'm guessing, what? I don't know, like legacy Americans, like white men who have sold out their heritage basically to, I don't know, turn America into an economic zone and a free-for-all for brown tent dwellers of any ethnicity, I guess is pretty much the size of it. But these guys are out there. The Mark Levin is out there. The Ben Shapiro is out there. And I guess to sort of step straight into it, the first thing I want to mention is these Heritage Club jokers. Some of the stuff I'm hearing, man, the stuff that I'm hearing that gets my attention, and again, this is like my interrogator brain listening to this, I'm not hearing like hard and fast takes. I'm not hearing genuine facts. All I'm hearing is emotion. I'm hearing about how awful it is, how abhorrent it is, how you couldn't possibly be more wrong. This is the most disgusting thing. This is filthy and vile, and you must have something wrong between your ears. Okay, that's terrific, dude, and you can say all those things all that you want. Maybe we say the same thing about you, right? But show me the facts. Show me the hard and fast facts that say this is going to lead to, whatever, holler.cost.2.0, right? because I don't think one didn't happen in the first place. 1.0 didn't happen in the first place. But you're in here wailing and gnashing teeth talking about, oh, you know where this goes. You know what could possibly happen. No, dude, I don't. So when you're running on and on about, oh, imagine a Tucker Carlson interviewing Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. What are you talking about? Like over here, you're talking about you're not going to allow or somehow permit these people to speak to each other. Or if they are going to speak to each other, it's got to be in private, and you are not allowed to hear it. So for whatever you think of your Tucker or your Nick Fuentes, me personally, I think kind of the fix is in, and these are our preferred opposition. These are the people that we're willing to fight against. That's not what I'm specifically speaking about. What I'm talking about here is the idea that these people feel that they know so much better than you that they're going to say, hey, we're going to decide what you people are allowed to hear and what conversations you're allowed to hear. We'll decide what's safe, what's acceptable, what's decent, what's not disgusting and the most wrong thing in the whole world. Like, what kind of world do you live in, man, where somebody is going to tell you in your car, in your cubicle, yeah, I want you to keep hustling in there, I want you to keep slaving away, but I will decide what it's okay for you to entertain yourself with. I will be the one that decides which way this goes. I'm not interested in a party like that. I'm not interested in that scene. And I thought we were supposed to be the fascists, right? I thought we were supposed to be the authoritarians. It's actually us saying, like, hey, man, go do what you want. Leave me out of it. But also don't come to me telling me what I'm allowed to think and what I'm allowed to be into or what I'm allowed to think is acceptable or reasonable without you saying, oh, that's disgusting. You're not allowed to engage in this society. No, dude, not my cup of tea. Moving along, man, like your Mark Levin and your Shapiro, like, dude, is Ben Shapiro's head shrinking or is his little Yamaha growing? What is going on, man? Like, when that guy started, I don't remember ever seeing him. I don't remember seeing him with the little hat. And now I see him with the little hat. He's got the little hat, but I don't remember seeing the little hat before. But now he's got that little hat. So this guy, before he was Mr. Anti-Trump. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, I'm a clever guy. I go on college campuses and break nuts. But now he's suddenly Mr. Zionism. And you're not allowed to have opinions about it. And Mark Levin, again, same thing. But what really gets my attention with these jokers is some of the terminology that they use. And again, bouncing back to my interrogator brain, is the idea that when these people say our country, our America, our society, they don't mean you, dude. They are not talking about you. They are excluding you, white man, straight white man living in a country founded by other white men for white people. They are saying not you. Because if you take that perspective that, hey, man, if you're Nigerian, I'm not trying to deprive you of your homeland. I'm not saying, well, there's a lot of Nigerians around here. What gives? I'm not going to Hong Kong and saying, what's with all the Chinese people? I notice you don't have any white-owned businesses. What's the story with that? I'm not going to Tokyo complaining about that, about like, hey, how come I walk through the airport and all the models in these pictures are all Japanese chicks? What's the story with that? Huh? Racist much? Huh? But in your country, in America, founded by white men for ourselves and our posterity, yes, the people to come after, meaning you, if you walk by and say, how come I don't really have a place to call home? How come I don't have a place where I can walk down the street and see people who look like me? If you say that, well, then suddenly you are a bad American and you are somebody that doesn't fit with our society. You are somebody that doesn't adhere to our Judeo-Christian values. Because when they say our, they don't mean you. They mean who? Who do you think they mean? They mean each other. They mean each other and their little pets. Their 56%. Their unwashed masses from around the world. Yes, that's who they mean. So this was something that really kind of caught my ear the last few days when I hear them putting this stuff out. That these people really are just, they're stepping into that mindset. And if you think that, oh no, that's kind of an exaggeration, you can take a look at the stuff that they've got proposed right now. They've got legislation proposed right now to apply the death penalty to any Palestinian prisoner that they deem to be a bunny ears terrorist who they feel might in the future pose a threat to the safety of Israel. So again, if you've got a prisoner in there and you say, well, this guy, he's a terrorist, and in the future, he might represent a threat to Israel. So what should we do with him? Oh, well, here's a law right here. You should just kill him. And that's going to be the law. So now if you compare this idea, right, and you look and you say, okay, well, so when you say a terrorist, what do you mean by terrorist? So in the day, customarily, the concept of terrorist was somebody who attacks a non-military target, a non-specific target, basically for political attention, all right? You know, if you bomb a military base or there's a soldier over there and you shoot at the soldier, you're a combatant. And I don't mean to say just a combatant. I mean just simply put, yes, you are a combatant. You're out here trying to push your agenda against someone who is out there for the purpose of pushing an agenda that you don't agree with. So this soldier is out there as an instrument of policy, pushing an agenda for his country. You go, you know what? I don't like that agenda. I'm going to attack the guy who would otherwise pose a threat to me. That guy over there in uniform. So you're a combatant. But we've gotten to this spot where we're taking Department of right? Like not me, I'm not doing this, but it has become popular. We'll put it that way. It has become popular to take such a moral high ground that you say, well, no, I am inherently the good guy. And, you know, in a sane world, you would just say, look, dude, I got a way I see things. Maybe these Israelis got a way they see things. These jihadists got a way they see things. The Buddhist pacifist, maybe he has a way he sees things. Not trying to put a clear label of I am right and you are inherently wrong. You're out here for purposes other than just to make my life difficult. These people are out there for their own purposes. Even the most unsavory Zionist, even the most jihadi, suicide vest wearing, extremist, Muslimist guy out there is out there for his own agenda. You know, in a lot of cases, he thinks he's doing the right things. Probably not a very smart guy. Kind of a dum-dum, got hustled into this. Yeah, he thinks he's doing right by his family, by his people, by his religion. Maybe his family is going to get set up for life, and all he has to do is blow himself up. So to say, like, I am inherently the good guy and those over there, those people are inherently bad guys, that's childish, dude. It's childish. That guy over there thinks he's the good guy and thinks I'm the bad guy. Everybody's in it for themselves. So this idea of like, well, you're just a bad guy. If you subscribe to this, and this ideology, you are a bad guy. You're not just a bad American. You're just not fit for our society. You're not just mentally unwell and disgusting. You're a bunny ears bad guy. And what do we do with bad guys? Well, apparently we lock them up, and when they become inconvenient, we just put them to death. That's what the Israeli law is saying. And according to Mark Levin, it's that Israeli influence, not white men's influence, not Christian influence, not European influence, but that Israeli influence that makes America, America. So if we're talking about Israeli influence, well, who's to say that Israeli influence doesn't extend to just killing whoever inconveniences you? Does it or does it not? Because we're only talking about bad guys, right? And you're the good guy. So again, I think it's important to think about what are these people saying to you? And if you want to say like, nobody means that, that's not what people are saying, that's not what they're talking about. Once again, we're back at this thing of like, well, yeah, we could do that, but we never would. We're not going to do that. I mean, yeah, we could say you have to have this injection to have a job, but we would never do that. We could say, you know, you're not allowed to leave the house. We could say you're not allowed to go to school, you know, unless you have this injection. But, you know, we're not going to really do that. Oh, yeah, surprise, though. We actually did that, right? So this is where I think we are with some of this stuff, is these people are taking this position that I'm inherently good, you are inherently bad, and that means I can do whatever I want to you because you are, bunny ears, a terrorist. So with this, I think it's important that we kind of push off this persona that we have, that, like, if somebody says, like, are you a Democrat or a Republican? You're like, well, in a lot of ways, I have some ideas that might lean to the left, but most ways I have ideas that lean to the right. Or so you like an independent? Oh, no. And guys will say, no, I'm much worse, is what they'll say. They'll say, no, worse. What, are you like a Republican or like a MAGA guy? Are you like a Trump supporter? Oh, no, much worse. And this is the way that it's been packaged to us for so long that this is the way we regurgitate it, is like, oh, no, I'm worse. Dude, you are not worse than anything. You are much better. You are the person that didn't bite on all of this propaganda, all of the stuff that you have been spoon-fed since you could walk. All of the stuff about, hey, yeah, no, just trust me there, Goy. I've got your best interest in mind. Yeah, no, just believe what I'm telling you. No, hey, yeah, 6 million, look, and it's right there. I mean, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? Don't worry about the math. Don't worry about the logistics of this whole thing. Just believe it. Oh, and don't forget to attack anybody that questions it. That's most important. Otherwise, you might be, right, just as bad, right? So kind of moving along, I think that is a lot of where, that's a lot of where you get like this situation with these people that support Trump, is that you got to latch on to something. People will feel like you got to latch on to something. And once you've latched on to something, like, you have to back this thing because you've only got one other choice. I mean, my thing is that, like, you can support any number of things. If you want to support, you think maybe socialized medicine might be a good idea, just say that. Okay, yeah, I think it would be a good idea, man. I mean, we got enough, people are working enough. It should be reasonable. We're kind of doing it anyways, right? Just walk in here to a government-funded doctor and get your foot looked at or whatever, right? What's unreasonable about that? If that's, and I'm not saying that, I'm just suggesting. If that's how you feel, you just say that. Does that make you a Democrat? No. Does that make you an Obama voter? No. Does that make you Gavin Newsom 2.0? No. It doesn't make you any of those things. It means you just have an opinion about this thing. Not a big deal. But where you've got like this Trump thing, you've got a guy that has bent this country over 10 different directions. And the only excuse for it is, well, what are you, some kind of Democrat? Oh, what are you, Hillary supporter? Oh, what are you, like a Muslim? Oh, what are you? And I'm like, what are you talking about? No, I don't have to support any of those things just because I recognize this guy is kind of an idiot. And he is kind of an idiot. I heard part of this interview that he had with Laura Ingraham, and she is, for all intents and purposes, man, I mean, she brings up some very good points. If she's not our girl, she's got to be right there, toes on the edge, and just keeping it on the lowdown because, I mean, she's making all the talking points. She's talking about, like, why are you bringing in all these H-1B characters? Do we not have enough talented people? Are you really trying to tell me that we don't have or we can't train anybody in this country to do these jobs? And what does Trump say? No, you can't. No. Americans just know you don't have the talent. You don't understand. And then he goes into this rant about, like, making batteries in Georgia. I was in Georgia where they make batteries, and you wouldn't believe making batteries, such a difficult skill, very hard skill. People from Korea, they learn this skill when they're very young, making batteries. It's very difficult. And we don't have that here. People don't have the time. We don't have the time or the making batteries. What are you talking about, man? And I mean, if we were to believe anything that happened in the 60s, we got people that figured out a way to get to the moon. And if not that, at least a way to put someone in orbit. They didn't train on that since they were children because it was brand new. But what do you have now? Oh no, making batteries is entirely too difficult. We have to import these people. So you're driving wages down, you're driving competition up, and for what? Like, show me one place, show me one city in America where people are like, oh, this place is just so much better since all these Indians got here. I've never been happier. No, I have nothing but gratitude and praise for that guy in the mustache who smells like a rug store. This is terrific. I've never been happier. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying like, yeah, I got treated unfairly at this place of business until it got mostly taken over by Indians. Now it's a fair shake every time. I'm not worried at all that I'm going to be fired to replace with somebody, of this guy's ethnicity. That my manager, Mr. Singh Rajdhanawan, is going to fire me to hire his cousin, Daprik Sanjeep or whatever. All right. Oh, no, that would never happen. No, obviously that happens. Everybody that works in tech talks about how that happens. I've talked about trying to get into government contracting, and I've seen it happen. They're telling me how it's going to happen. Okay, listen, we're going to get this contract, and then we're going to hire you to fulfill the contract. So basically, instead of me getting the contract that I could otherwise execute, I've got to work for Mr. Singh over here. I've got to work for Dr. Pajit Street shit, and he's going to pay me, minus his cut. So don't try to tell me that, culturally that these people are squared away, good to go. Don't try to tell me that they're in any kind of way, shape, or form superior, or that they're doing something that Americans cannot do. All they're doing is working cheap and displacing you. That's the only thing they're here for. And everybody kind of knows that. But moreover, some of the other stuff that this clown put out, he's talking about the 50-year mortgage. Dude, are you serious right now? 50-year mortgage. I mean, let me tell you what this does, dude. Here's what it does for my money. I've heard some people, and again, I ain't Mr. Finance, and this ain't financial advice, but I'll tell you what I have heard and what I do understand. If you take on a longer mortgage, what you're looking at here is kind of a gamble that by the time you come to the end of this thing, that the currency you're paying with will have depreciated so much that what you're paying out is essentially nickels. And it will, according to the bet you're making, more than offset the interest you have to pay. So if you've got a really sweet interest rate, like during COVID, when nobody's doing anything and interest rates went through the floor, I think it got down to below 2.5%, 2.5 or below it was at. And if you look at inflation, that's usually going to be around 2 to 3% per year. So what you're looking at here is every year is that the amount you have to pay in interest every year is going to come out to be less than the amount by which your currency depreciates. All right. So to kind of draw that out, to sort of spell that out a little bit, if you have $100 today, right, next year, that $100 is going to be worth $98 or $97. The year after that, that $97 or $98 is going to be worth $95 or $94. The year after that, it's going to be worth $90. So in contrast, if you say, I still owe X amount on this house, I still owe $100,000 on this house, okay, well now 2 or 3%, now you're going to be, this year, you're going to be paying 2%, $2,000 that you still got to pay on this house in interest, all right? But now as the time goes on, that amount that you got to pay in interest is going to go down, but the value of that amount is also going to go down. So 5 years from now, when you're paying okay, yeah, I've paid this down a little bit, and now instead of $2,000, I've got to pay whatever, $1,500, $1,200. It's not as valuable. That $1,200 is not as valuable as it was back when. So the amount of value that you're handing over to the bank is much, much less. So way down the road, if you look 10, 15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, if they say haha, I'm getting 2% of whatever, dude, whatever's left, $100,000, let's say, what the hell good is that? What are you going to do with $2,000 20 years from now? If you had that $2,000 now, you could do a lot with it. 20 years from now, what are you going to do with $2,000? $2,000 will be in 20 years, that's going to be people are going to make that in a week. So it's just this kind of a bet. You're basically placing a bet that the money I'm going to give you later is going to be worth much, much, much less than it is right now. So I want to hold on to more of it right now. So when you look at a 50-year mortgage, if you were going to live to, say, 200 years old, you could say, well, if I get a really sweet interest rate, if I could get a 2 or 3% interest rate, yeah, I'll take your 50-year mortgage in that case, because by the time I'm paying that way down there, it's going to be worth nothing. Plus, if I pay it off early, I'm going to jam you up so hard, I'm going to be paying you with nickels. It's going to be now paying with nickels. But you ain't going to live that long. And that's what I think the racket is that one, they're not going to give you that sweet interest rate, man. they're gonna tell you that, well, I have to make this worth my while, you see. So what I'm gonna have to do is this is gonna have to be 6, 7, 8%. So you're gonna get banged up on this thing. They're gonna make, I think it's at like 6, 7, 8% now. So you're gonna get banged up. It's gonna probably be staring at, like, if they were to put this in play, 7, 8, 9, 10%. Yeah, but don't worry, guy. You got like 50 years to pay it off. So they're going to break it off on you on this interest rate. By the time it gets to a point where, like, yeah, it's devalued enough to where the currency I'm giving you, man, it just ain't that much anymore. They've got all their money. All the money they're getting, that's the interest, and that gets paid up front. But way down the road where you're paying the principal off, well, now that's your money. So if you could pay it quick, good for you. You probably won't be able to, though, and you probably already got it broke off on you. More importantly, though, and this is what I really wanted to hit on, was that you ain't going to live that long, because the average home buyer now is over 40 years old. So if you're taking a 50-year mortgage, what are you going to pay this off when you're 90? That ain't happening, dude. So what's going to happen? You're going to take this place, and maybe your kids take up the mortgage, or probably by that point they're not going to update the inheritance laws. So the value of that home, it'll get revalued, and they'll be like, yeah, it's worth several $1 million. So you owe a ton of taxes on this place. Inheritance tax. So sorry, sucker. Now you're going to have to pay that. What are you going to do with that? I can't pay that and stay alive, so I got to sell the place. Perfect. Terrific. So the idea here is basically that nobody can buy a house until they're over 40. What, are people waiting to have kids until they're 40? No, that means kids are all growing up in crummy little apartments. Someday mom and dad can afford a house. Maybe your last couple years of high school, you get to live in a house. That still means probably not, because kids ain't cheap, man. So everybody grows up in an apartment. Everybody's used to not having a house. You're not going to be able to have a house even if you want to, because you ain't going to be able to pay this thing off in 50 years. That means when you die, where does that house go? Back to the bank. So at some point, it's just going to be all of these private equity firms that own these houses, and you can rent one for 50 years at a very reasonable rate. However, you're not actually renting in the strictest technical sense. You are buying it, which means you get to handle all of the maintenance and repairs. Ha, 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 ho, ho, ho. So once again, man, maybe it's smarter to rent. I don't know. I couldn't say. I mean, and that's math for another day, and I'm not going that far. The other thing I wanted to laugh about, two more things I want to laugh about. Well, three with this idiot. One, the $2,000 dividend. Oh, we've got tariffs in place. Tariffs in place. Everyone who didn't approve of tariffs, you're a fool. You're a fool if you thought it wouldn't work. It's going to work amazingly. We're going to get $2,000. I'm writing a check. I'm writing checks right now. I'm writing checks with both hands. Everyone's going to get a $2,000 check. That's how well it's working out. Amazing economy. Golden age economy. Oh, surprise, though, it's not actually $2,000. You're not going to get a check. That $2,000 is actually just going to come in the form of some kind of rebate at tax time, some kind of write-off at tax time. So where I was going to bang you up for $2,000, that's just $2,000 I'm not going to bang you up for. Well, how am I going to even see that? You probably won't. That's the thing. And when it comes down to it, it probably won't be something that any of you will get. The people that were already getting taxes, because it's like I say about my ex-wife, she don't pay taxes, she gets taxes. I pay taxes, all right? So the people that are going to see that $2,000, that probably ain't going to be you, man. That's going to be people who are already getting taxes. And what is that going to look like for them? Who knows? Who even knows? Maybe a little bump on your SNAP benefits, maybe a little uptick on your EBT. That's what that's going to look like. And these unappreciative people, they're never going to know the difference. Dude, I just found out today that it's like 42 million people on SNAP. And I saw a news article that was talking about, well, they're going to get paid, but the scars will remain. And I'm like, scars of what, dude? Scars of the threat of maybe you would have had to pay your own way for a little while? How awful for you. How will you ever get by? And there's this one time, I almost had to go get a job. Can you believe that? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's all that is. But this all stems from this government shutdown thing, which, if you followed this at all, apparently stemmed largely from the Obamacare subsidies the Affordable Care Act subsidies, which were obviously so affordable that you needed government subsidization to afford them. Are you out of your mind? So, I mean, the way this rolls out is that like we're going to make it so that every American will have health care. Every American should have health care. So they roll this thing out, and long and short, all it is if you're young, you're going to get broken in half paying for health care, so that when you're old and or poor, now it's more affordable, which this already was happening this way. Like, what have I been paying for this whole time? Every time I've ever gone into an emergency room, who's paying for all these Mexicans? Who do you think? I am. I'm paying for all this. Plus, I get to wait in line behind them. So lucky. But this snowballed so badly, and so few people played ball on it, that the government had to subsidize it. Which just means that, and this was something that came up during the military. Like, if you ever had to go to a non-military facility, these people will send you a bill. Like, you got to go to, St. Mary of the Broken Leg, to get straightened out. And they would send something, to TRICARE. TRICARE would be like, yeah, okay, the guy, sprained an ankle or broken arm or whatever. Here's what treatment of a broken arm is worth in our book. And they're like, yeah, but we want like twice that. So they're like, I don't know what to tell you. This is what we're paying you. If you want more money from somewhere else, go ask somewhere else. This is what we're going to pay you for this broken arm situation. So they'll send you something out like, hey, this is what your insurance paid, bro. This is what you owe, bro. And they know that like this guy ain't going to pay it. That's crazy talk. But they basically got carte blanche to just charge whatever they want for things. So you'll notice this with a lot of care providers, like especially dentists. If you go into dentists and you say, hey, do you have a cash price? Like, can I just pay cash? If you don't have insurance, a lot of places are like, yeah, dude, I'll take cash, because it's now it's like straight under the table. And two, this guy doesn't have to go through insurance, where it's this long song and dance of like, you try to get paid and insurance is like, oh, well, bro, no, I'm going to take this much from the guy, but this is how much I'm going to pay you. And insurance, it's just a racket, right? So this is the same thing where insurance looks at the situation and they're like, oh, government is saying that you got to have insurance? Well, dude, guess what just happened to the price of a broken arm? It just like tripled. Right? Because insurance is like, I could charge whatever I want because the government will subsidize it. So the government got these subsidies going, and I want to say, under Trump the first time around they agreed to this, but it was supposed to be temporary. So now it's expiring, and now this became a sticking point. They're like, well, no, we need these subsidies. People don't have insurance now. They aren't being taken care of. Well, no, the problem is not the hospitals. The problem is not the people who aren't getting taken care of. The problem is the insurance people saying, well, yeah, here's what I want for that broken arm. And the people paying these insurance premiums aren't covering it. They're not paying enough for these people to get what they say they think they deserve. So the government has to say, okay, we'll give you money as well. So these people are getting paid through two different places for the same thing. And now that that's going away, instead of just saying, okay, we're going to have to take less for a broken arm for a while, now they're saying, no, dude, you need to turn that back on. We need to stop the government until I can get paid more for your broken arm. So that's where this thing is at, and that's what Democrats' bunny ears caved on. This is what they caved on. Are you out of your mind? But this is the essence of it, that you are not being robbed effectively enough. So you're already paying for all these people. You pay for their medical care. You pay for their EBT benefits. You pay for their SNAP benefits. You pay for all of this stuff. What do you get? Nothing. And that was my question. How is this my problem? It's not my problem, but this is what you get. So, I mean, this Trump situation, man, I don't know. The guy has not really done anything that I could say, like, yeah, this was in my interest. I would like to think that with the recent Epstein stuff that came out, that, if it was like, we're going to release a few things now just to give you a clue on what we're smart on, so you better start playing ball. The guy is already playing ball. He's playing as much ball as anyone can. So this Epstein stuff that just came out, that just got released, I guess there's a vote coming up or they've got sufficient people to vote on releasing this material. They're saying files, and the argument is, oh, there's not actually files. Okay, great, there's not files, but there is material. Release the material. And then you got Pam Bondi out there talking about, well, some of this is child sexual assault material. You want me to release that? You want me to release CSAM into the public? Is that what you're asking? No, dummy. Nobody's asking that. We want to know what is going on, who was involved, who knew what. So there have been some letters that came out, and these are really like just kind of innocuous emails from Epstein, and they're talking about different government positions. There's one from Palantir guy, Peter Thiel, that's what it was, talking about, well, that was fun, like something, it reeks of shadiness, man, but that was fun. See you in 3 weeks. I don't know what that means, man, but I mean, it smells dodgy. I mean, it doesn't actually say anything. Further along, though, in some of these letters, and I posted them in the Telegram chat, they're talking about like, yeah, Trump, dude, he's not a loyal guy. Yeah, he forgets where he came from. He forgets who helped him out. He's not really one of us. What I noticed, though, was they are talking about this, like he asked Ghislaine Maxwell to stop recruiting at Mar-a-Lago. So he knew these things were going on very clearly. He knew these things were going on, did not do anything about it. To me, that's good enough, dude. That's good enough. Pedos get the rope, dude. So that's my take on that. But the other thing I noticed about this was that there's really nothing so far that points a finger specifically at him saying, did you see what that dude was doing? Because if they wanted to destroy this dude, that's all it would really take. Like, yeah, just show me the part where, like, yeah, man, I walked in on him and I saw him doing X, Y, and Z. Can you believe it? Oh, he's got time scheduled with whatever, this young girl, this underage girl. He's going to this specific party where we knew this stuff has gone on. If you had any of that stuff and you really wanted to crush this guy, I feel like now would be the time to roll it out. Even if they have it, though, I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's going to be leverage. I think that's just the way these people are, that they're never going to let this stuff loose. They're always going to hang on to it and say, well, yeah, but, maybe I can get something for this. Maybe I get you to do me a little favor. Maybe you owe me a little something and I don't put this into the public sphere. What do you say to that? And I think a lot of this has gone on, not just with him, probably with every single one of them. So I don't know, dude. I don't really have much confidence that anything is going to come out. I suppose we'll just see how it shakes loose. But I have one more thing I want to hit on. Kind of a little weird personal story that sort of came up the last couple weeks as I was on a plane, as you can imagine. But I get on a plane, man, and a lot of times I'll just like download a bunch of like YouTube stuff or podcasts or whatever I can just sit there and listen to, and sometimes I go to sleep or whatever. But a lot of times, man, I don't have something specific I'm looking for, so I'll just go with whatever I see first, and like I'll take that. And one of the things I saw was a video about this GATE program. So you might be familiar with it. You might have been part of it. You might have heard of it before. But GATE program was for gifted and talented education. And this was something that was out in the 70s, 80s, 90s. I think it changed names a few different times. But what appears to have happened, though, is when they initially stood up the GATE program, as it was properly referred to at the time, that there was some government involvement in this. And the story that I heard through a few different outlets that looked into this thing, some were a little dodgy, some were some kook girl in blue hair in her underwear, talking about her experience and, the afterlife or whatever, man, the universe. Others were more like, yeah, according to government documents, X, Y, and Z, here's what I see, here's what I saw, and so on. So what I saw on this was the idea that after the Soviets launched and put somebody in space and did the whole Sputnik thing and did the Yuri Gagarin thing and got somebody up and around the world, the U.S. got a little bit concerned that, like, hey, man, we're running behind. And the government at that point got involved, heavily involved in education, so as to say, like, we need to start identifying people, get smart people out here, get things done, get this stuff up and moving. 60s and 70s, you could say that a lot of that got done. And America really, I mean, even if you are going to roll with the flat earth tip, America really did slingshot forward and a lot of solid stuff got done. However, and I saw this take on, I want to say Instagram or Twitter, by a dude named HoMath, guy that puts out that HoMath stuff and basically does a lot of breakdown of the logistics of the sexual marketplace, like the dating pool and this whole thing. Really solid content if you get a chance to see it. HoMath, H-O-E math. And what this guy was talking about was he was saying that, like, yeah, he was part of that program too, and so was I. But he was part of it too, and that his take on this was that this was something more of a spin-off from some MK Ultra type product, where they're actually looking at, like, how can we identify intelligent white men and how can we marginalize them? How can we push them to the side when we want to? So if we got people that we want, people that we need things from, people that we feel like we can trust, cool. If we got people that we're not so sure about, people that might rock the boat, people that might stand up and say, hey, I think your vaccine mandate is nonsense, those are people we want to be able to push to the side, and we want to develop the tools to do that quick. So I looked at that, and I had heard some stuff about the GATE program before, and, you know, it's an MK Ultra spinoff, it's this, it's that. Yeah, whatever, man. People will say a lot of crazy stuff. But when I saw that, that really started ringing bells for me, man. And I will say that a lot of this was stuff that I had noticed before, because a lot of times you might see something, you know, like people will see something and then they're like, well, you say that now, dude. You know, like I tell you that, you know, there were people following you around the mall, you know, by the time you get back to the parking lot, suddenly somebody will be like, oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I saw that one guy. Oh yeah, that one. Oh yeah, that dude and that woman. Totally, dude. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There actually wasn't anybody following you, man. But you can make somebody see things, you know, after the fact. But this was an instance where there were things that went on when I was younger, and then even in my professional life, where not just me, but other people were like, what was that about, dude? That was crazy. And I'm like, I have no idea, man. Things like this just happen to me. So to kind of start this thing off, man, like the idea of the gifted and talented thing. Actually, no, let's rewind to the MK Ultra thing and the Uncle Ted thing, because MK Ultra, like a lot of this, there was a few different versions of this. One was called, I want to say Bluebird, and another one was called Artichoke, and another one MK Ultra. The idea here was to see, like, how much can we influence the way a person thinks and the way a person perceives reality around them. So some of these programs involved LSD, some of these involved sensory deprivation, some of these involved electroshock therapy, basically trying to wipe the neural connections in your mind and see about, like, can we make these people do what we want them to do and see things the way we want them to see them. If you recall, like your Uncle Ted, there's been a few discussions on this, but this dude got identified really early as like an ultra high IQ, very, very, very intelligent dude. This dude got into, I can't remember what school, dude. I want to say Harvard. I don't remember completely for sure, but got into a very prestigious school. Being a young dude at a very prestigious school, then there became this situation where, like, yeah, it's normal for people to go and talk to this dude and, hey, we'd like to study you a little and see what makes you tick. That's not unreasonable at all. That seems very reasonable, right? So this happened, though, but what this guy did not know at the time was that this was a component of the MK Ultra project. So what they did is study this guy, discuss with him, ask him about his life philosophy, his values, his habits, things he liked, things he didn't like, things he believed, and so on. And now, mind you, this kid was like 15 years old, and they're doing this. So they're asking this kid all of these things. And now, down the road, he's got like this, you know, handler, we'll just say for our purposes. And now, as he's got this handler is making all these notes. And now as this relationship moves along towards the end of this thing, they start taking this guy apart. And it becomes increasingly hostile to the point where he's still going to meeting with this guy because it's become a habit. You go and you meet with your handler for however long this is going on. I don't know. But it gets to a point where at one point they've got him in here for more like a board meeting with his handler and several other people. And they are taking this guy apart, deconstructing his philosophy, his beliefs, to basically say, like, you ain't that smart. Look at this. You say you believe this over here. But then, like, what? Later, you say this over here. Now, if you've got somebody skilled, I mean, a lawyer can do this. A lawyer does this. This is essentially a lawyer's job. I'm taking apart what you say you believe, what you say you mean, and I'm turning it into something else. If you're doing this to an unwitting kid that thinks he's been talking to his friend this entire time and has been honest and candid and open this entire time, but now you do this, and you basically turn this kid's head inside out and leave him to believe that you ain't really that smart at all. You basically lie to yourself. You lie to all of us. You're kind of self-centered. You're completely one way. Your values are totally upside down and twisted. What do you think that's going to do to this kid? Well, I think you can see what that did to this kid, right? So I knew this about Uncle Ted, right? And I understood this, and it didn't really surprise me at all. That, like, yeah, I could see where they would do something like this. And you wanna turn somebody that's a potential threat into somebody that's harmless. It's just going to stay out in the woods. Okay, well, this is something you could try. Obviously, it didn't work out that well. You apparently pushed the wrong button there and got a little taste for your efforts. But my own experience, though, was it was bizarre. It was very similar. And when I saw this thing from HOMath, some of these pieces started kind of falling into place, man. And like my own situation was when I was in grade, there was me and a few other kids that got identified as like, all right, you guys are pretty smart. You're doing fine in this class. We're going to put you in the grade class. You're just going to sit there. Like, you're going to do normal work. This teacher is going to teach grade material to you as well, but you're going to be in there and kind of soak up some of the grade material. So this is just going to be good for you, and it's going to keep you academically stimulated, and it's good all around, right? So mom and dad buy off on this, no big deal. Next year, they come out with this gate situation. It got introduced at this school where I was. So I go do this thing, and in this instance, a lot of the things are starting to ring bells for me. And in this situation, you're getting pulled out of class, you're going to some other school, you're sitting in, people talk about like windowless rooms, whatever. I don't remember windowless rooms, but you're in this other room with just these other kids. They're talking about, like, you're doing these listening exercises where you sit in a booth and you got little headphones on, and I don't remember what there was. I don't remember anything really about that. Somebody played some stuff on one of the videos of like, it's this, it's hypnosis, it's this, it's that. I don't really remember it. I do kind of remember being like, this is just kind of stupid. This doesn't really interest me, and just kind of tuning out like, whatever, dude. Did I get trained to be Jason Bourne or something? I don't know nothing about that. But I do just kind of remember thinking like, yeah, this is just kind of lame. This is weird. But if you think about this thing in a larger context, though, the story was like, yeah, we're going to bring you out, keep you academically stimulated. You're going to be moving ahead. We're going to see about what makes you tick, what makes you work, and so on. What am I doing over here? I still got to do my regular work in class. You're just horsing around with me in here. Like, what is this about? But there was lots of tests, like spatial relationship type things, like take these blocks and make this shape. There's lots of weird questions, like questions where you're thinking 2-3 steps ahead. One question that I remember getting tripped up on twice was, why do you have eyelashes? And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I didn't really put any thought into it. I'm like, I don't know. What do you want from me? And the dude told me, like, it's to protect your eyes. I'm like, thinking on it for a second, like, oh, yeah, okay, all right. And I got hit on it twice. And I felt, and it was bizarre because I'm not that old of a kid at the time, but I do remember feeling stupid about it, where the guy's like, to protect your eyes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I feel dumb now, right? Then it just got kind of weirder from there. So we're doing this thing, and I swear I didn't even think of this until last night. One of the teachers that was running this thing, because it was still a teacher from that school, but one of these teachers was this woman that, as I look back on it, like this broad was probably just some kind of disco cokehead. I mean, she dressed like she was going to Studio 54 every time I saw her. And like I look at it in retrospect, I'm like, dude, you're just, I know you, I recognize you, I recognize the type now, because later, you go to the bar and you see like, I'm a school teacher, and like, the kind, she ain't going home till like Sunday afternoon, right? So this was the kind of person they had running this thing. And she was so mean, man. I'm like, what is the deal here? And I remember one time we're going to do something, and there's a field trip coming up. They took us on some whale watching trip on a boat out to sea. Yeah, safety last, terrific. With one Studio 54 cokehead, right? But she says, all right, so Coffee, we're going to be going on this trip, so try not to freak out, okay? And I'm like, what is that about? I'm like, what? And it just struck me as odd, but she just kind of treated me this way the whole time. And then when that school year wrapped up, my mom was like super involved, like, Miss Good Parent, like always very involved. How's my kid doing? What can I do at home? What can I help out with, this and that and the other? So she'd give my teachers like little presents, and like my normal teacher, she gave her a present. And then this teacher as well, she sends in a whole separate present. Like, you give this one to her, for her doing this thing for you this year. I'm like, okay. So I give her this present, and she's like, looks at it and she's like, oh, that's nice. And I was so mean to you this year. And I'm like, what? So like, one, it wasn't just me thinking this. Like, yeah, you were kind of unpleasant, right? But two, you kind of acknowledge this thing. But then three is my thought process now is like, well, you're so mean. How did you get roped into this? Like, you're obviously kind of just a bar hooer, right? You're just a cokehead. You're probably out here staying alive, every Friday and Saturday night. How did you get roped into this? And then I'm thinking through like, oh, this is probably exactly how you got roped into this. Like, you probably came to school, a gram light or something, and they said, well, you know what? You're going to go do this. We got a job for you. So this was just kind of how it went for me. And then the last year that I was in, at this particular school, the last year I was there, I had this really strange incident where I'm out at PE, right? And all of a sudden, this teacher just starts yelling at me. Like and I'll swear to this day, I was just standing there. Starts yelling at me. And it's like, I've had it with you. I'm not going to take this anymore. You're out of here. You're out of my class. Come here. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm freaked out. And she's pulling me, like snatching me up out of the class and walking me off to this other classroom and shoving me like, get in there. And this other teacher takes me and is like, come here. And it was, at the time, adults would just do things, right? And you think because you're a kid, you don't like, this is just how things go. I don't know. But now in retrospect, I'm like, if I was running a class and some teacher came in, yelling about something with some kid, I'd want to be like, whoa, hey, let's slow down. Let's slow our roll a little bit. Let's not make a scene, all right? Like, you're upsetting things in here now. This chick wasn't like that. It was like, oh, yeah, I'm with it. Yeah, come on, give me that guy. Give me him. So these two broads snatch me up, and they're shoving me in the back of this room, and now I am in this isolated space. Like, stay here. Don't you leave. We'll come and get you. Not like, you got to take a whiz. Not like, we're going to let your parents know. Not anything. I don't know what time it is. I don't know nothing. I don't know what I'm doing back here. I'm just stuck back here. So I get out of there, and now I'm getting like a 5-day suspension, and I have no idea why. And my folks are like, well, something must have gone on. What happened? What did you do? I'm like, I don't know. So now we got this meeting scheduled. We're going to go have a meeting with the principal and some school psychologist that I never seen before. And we're going to get to the bottom of this thing, right? So I don't see this teacher ever again. Like, I didn't go back to that class ever again. So I go in here, and mind you, like, I'm in grade school, man. I don't know nothing. I'm not suited, right, for this interaction. But I go in here, and it's this thing of, well, we understand that your son was mocking this particular teacher, making fun of her in some kind of a way, wouldn't follow instructions, and so he had to be removed from class. I'm like, I was standing there, man. I don't know what is going on. But this is just how it is. So it's going to be like her word against mine. And obviously, I'm just some dingbat kid, so what do I know about anything? But now they got this psychologist in there. And now this guy starts on me, and he's like, okay, so you're saying that, you weren't doing anything. And this teacher says that you were misbehaving, horsing around a little bit. You ever horse around in class at all? And I'm like, not really. Oh, never? You never horse around in class? She never has to talk to you? Never has to say, hey, coffee, take your seat. Does anybody in that class ever get talked to? Does she just not talk to anyone? I'm like, no, she tunes people up once in a while, yeah. Okay, what kind of things do people get tuned up for in that class? I don't know, being out of your seat, talking, this kind of thing. And you're saying you never do that? Never, ever? No, I do that. Okay, so you do these things. You do these things in her class, don't you? Yeah, I guess so. So you can kind of see how the steering, right? How you're kind of steering this conversation. You're using these absolutes, these extremes, these always, these nevers, these generalizations. And this is a way that I would learn later, in retrospect, right? I would learn later when I'm doing interrogations that this is a way that I steer somebody into telling me something, what you know about X, Y, and Z, your involvement in this, that, or the other activity. All right, you're saying you've never been on this side of town? You don't even know this guy. He can go through all the checkpoints, get through here with a V-bid, and, nobody's going to stop him because everybody knows him. But you're saying you don't know him? You've never seen him before, ever? Okay, I might have seen him before. So you have seen him before. When was the last time you said, okay, now we're going down that road? So this is very much a technique. So then I'm looking back at this, and this is something that, after I started learning to do this, I got really angry about this. So I was like, these people, what is going on here? But it was bizarre because this kind of thing kind of followed along. And later on, after I got into the special operations scene, you get into that and you really would think initially, I thought I was going to be James Bond, straight away. They're going to give me a silenced pistol and a bulletproof tuxedo, and I'm off to the races, dude. License to kill, I'm good to go here. But it was not at all like that. Most of these scenes, you kind of show up there anonymous. And that is what a lot of this is. You're just, your trainee number, whatever, your applicant number, whatever. They don't know who you are. You're just kind of out there. They're not following you this closely. Later, though, when I started up to the tier 1 level, when I got to that level, that's when things got ultra weird, man. I got out to this scene, to this, tryout screening thing. And dudes will say, dude, they screw with everybody. What do you want? I know they do. That's part of it. And dude, being in the military, they do screw with everybody. Everybody gets screwed with, You're going to get horsed around with. Somebody's going to have an axe to grind. Somebody doesn't like people who look like you. No big deal. These things happen. This was something much, much different. I got out here, there were dudes that were there that I knew already. There were dudes that were attached to the training piece of this that I knew already. And I'd be like, hey, how you doing, man? And it's stonewall, nothing. Other dudes that I had never met before, I'd talk to them there and it would be cool. You're professional, you're cool. You're an established professional by the time you get here. You talk to people, talk reasonably. Sometimes guys give you a little inside gouge, a little whatever. When I finally got the axe out of that place, I did a good chunk of the initial portion first time, and I was shooting like a champ, dude. There are world-class shooters there. And moving through a kill house, I was right there, number 1, ranked number 1. And nonetheless, it was yeah, we're going to let you go. And I'm like, all right, whatever, dude. I don't know, whatever. And they're like, don't even try to say that we didn't give you a fair shake or we did something wrong or we did you wrong or some kind of thing. Don't try saying it. And I'm like, what is this, man? What is this crazy stuff? And I had other dudes that I was working with there that were like, who did you piss off, man? What did you do? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't know what is going on. I'm like, man, stay away from me. And that's really how it kind of goes, in that community that's hey, if you're going to get hit by lightning, man, I hope you survive. But the other side of this is I don't want to get hit too, so I'm just going to kind of keep my distance. And that was just kind of how it went, that yeah, you ain't really invited here, bro. We don't like you. We don't know you. The people that do know you, they're not going to talk to you. So, we're just going to kind of cut you loose. Super weird, man. And then I saw two guys later, two guys that I did not know before I went there. And I ran into these two guys at two different times, and both times, and you know how this is, man, like both times, dudes rolled. I didn't even see them. They rolled right up to me, and they're like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And I'm like, "I'm fine, I guess." I'm like, "Yeah, I remember you. You were part of that thing that time I went and wasted a good portion of my life jumping through hoops for people that won't give me straight answers. Yeah, I'm super happy to see you." But they're like, "Yeah, how are you, man? Are you good, dude?" And they got that look, is what I'm getting at, is they got that look on their face where, like, I want to tell you something. And at the time, it was the first guy I only saw like probably 8 months or 9 months after I got away from that situation. And the dude was like he was eager to see me, like, "Hey, how are you, man?" And I'm like, yeah, still rinsing that off a little bit. I've been happier. But he's like, "All right, well, that's good, man. That's good. What are you doing? What are you doing over here?" I'm like, "I'm doing this course over here." "All right, that's good. All right, well, I'll see you around, man. I'll see you." But it had that look the whole time, like, I got something I want to say, dude. It was strange. And then the other guy I saw, this dude was actually in charge of a portion of this thing. And this dude, like, I thought me and him were cool, when I got there. Like, I don't mean like we're going to get an apartment together, but like, at least a level of mutual professional respect, right? Like, I'm going to do my best out here. You're going to give me good instruction. You like what I do? Cool. If you don't, I understand. No big deal. And there was like a weird kind of a switch that happened out there. Like, "Yeah, don't like you. Nope. Got to get you out of here. Nope. No, not a fan. Not a fan." But now probably, what was this? Probably 2-3 years later, I saw this guy. And I was on base somewhere, and I didn't even see this dude. And he just walks right up to me, and he's like, "Hey, man, how are you?" And I'm like, What? What is this? I'm like, "I'm great, dude. Great. I'm so happy I saw you. Yeah. Again, never better." He's like, "Yeah, that's good. That's good." I'm like, "What are you doing out here?" He's like, Yeah, we're doing like a little screening thing over here, for the course." And I'm like, "All right, great. That's terrific. What's that got to do with me, right?" He's like, "Well, yeah, I just want to see how you are, man. Just, I'm like, "Dude, I don't need to see you, man." It was super weird. So I guess in that way, I mean, like I say, like that doesn't mean nothing. That don't mean like the fix is in or the watchers are watching or nothing like that. All I could say, though, is like when I saw that thing from HOMath that, like, yeah, they're going to keep track of some individuals. They're going to see what it is makes you tick, see what it is will shut you up, see what it takes to make you not a threat, and keep it in mind. Because, at some point, obviously, they're going to want people like you, me, other white men to be not a threat. So anyway, that's probably more than enough. I'm going to leave it there. Hey, if you want to check this action out, you could check this out at all the normal spots, the Spotify, the iTunes. I think it's on Pandora somehow, something like that, iHeartRadio, Amazon Podcast, whatever. If you want to kick down, you want to join the Abuse Hour Goon Squad, you can kick down at the Buy Me a Coffee link. I'll include that. If you want to see this on YouTube, I'll include the YouTube link. Other than that, man, if you get a chance, make sure you go and check out Above Time Coffee. It's coffee made by white people for white people. Put it in a cup, put it in your mouth. It's for you. They don't pay me. I just shill for them. But other than that, man, I think that's enough for today, and you've probably had your fill as well. So until we meet again, keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee. These are my takes.